Hello. Well, I'm a little bit lost for words, which sounds ridiculous because I've like literally just switched it on. But okay, so this camera is like, as you can see, not very good with the night vision. Even though obviously there's light in the room, it's like looks weird. But anyhow. So I was setting all the like equipment. I was trying to sort the settings out on my camera so that I'd look less like a ghost and more like me. And I'd finished doing all that, and then I heard this like little tap, and I thought, is that my door? Door's like just over there. Now I was going to mention, this is like 20 odd minutes, nearly half an hour ago, and I thought, nah, who's going to knock on my door? And then the next thing I know, douche, douche, douche. So I thought, well, I'm not going to just answer it, like nobody knocks on my door, like really anyway, except for the postman, and if I've got anyone calling round, 99.9% of the time, I know they're coming. So anyway, I said, who is it? And they go, it's the police, love. And oh God, like I know I haven't done anything, so obviously they weren't around to get me. But anyway, so I opened the door, and they made me laugh actually. Even though, like, my heart's beating like a drum, which is ridiculous because it's like nearly half an hour ago and it wasn't anything to do with me. But anyway, they said, I'll say his name. It doesn't really matter to me. My next door neighbour's called Damien. Which makes me laugh because it always makes me think of The Omen, and he really is like a Damien type person. I could sit here all night long and talk about my next door neighbour. He's not like a scally in the typical sense of the word. He comes across like a really nice guy, but I don't have a TV or anything in this house, and it's very rare that I have any noise in this house because I'm a really quiet person. And I read more than I watch anything like online. I don't really listen to any music or anything like that. So the long and short of everything is that I hear everything goes on next door. And even if I had a TV on, which I don't have a TV, but even if I had one, probably I'd still hear what goes on next door because it's so loud. And when I very first moved into this house, honest to God, I thought, have I just been totally set up? Because listening to children screaming and crying 24/7 isn't really much fun. It was very traumatic actually. Anyhow, long story short, so that's my next door neighbour, and so when I say Damien makes me think of like The Omen and the devil and all that, that's why. Anyway, so yeah, back to the police. Knock knock knock. So they ask, like, is he in? Bear in mind, it's like nearly midnight. And I'm like thinking, yeah, like, I keep tabs on him. Well, anyway, they go, he's not in any trouble. So I just laughed and I said, yeah, because police call around at this time of night all the time for people who aren't in trouble. Well, anyway, very long story short, I've no idea if he's in or not. I don't think he's even in, because they were banging on his door like crazy, and at the front and the back of the house, and there was no response. Now, even if he'd have been hiding, he's got 3 children, all under the age of 4, so they would have like obviously woken up, you'd think. I don't think he's in. Well, anyway, so that was that little drama, and then like I was like, because my heart it wouldn't stop beating like a drum. Horrible, actually, especially when they started pounding on his door, because well, stuff like that, it really makes me jump. I think because I live such a... This makes me sound really sad, but there's nothing sad about living like a quiet life. Nothing sad about that at all. It's like good, but it does make you a little bit vulnerable to like loud noises and stuff, because then it makes you jump out of your skin. Even, well, anyway, I don't want to keep going on about that. I spent 5 minutes talking about the police experience. Wonder why they were knocking though at this time of night. I mean, seriously, you don't call out to someone's house at nearly midnight unless you've got a good reason. So I don't believe for 1 second that he's not in trouble. Oh my god, seriously. But just like, I know I'm still talking about them because that's what I just wanted to say. One more thing. It looked like he looked like a, don't want to say a clone, I don't want to say, he looked like, I'll tell you what he reminded me of. There's a video online of, I think one of Obama's security guards, and they're like trying to say that he's an alien. Well, he had, and I'm not, because oh god, I wish I hadn't said this now, even in jest. He had a face, he had a skinhead, and it just had a really odd shaped head, not like an alien, just a really unusual shaped, a bit, I want to say a bit like a bulldog, but like a human version. You know how like if you had a dog, you'd have a bulldog, or a staffy or something like that, you know, pulling him along. Yeah, weird situation. Anyway, we're going to forget all that, or we're going to move on from all that. Don't even know what I'm talking about because I get my notes. Oh, I've been scribbling away. I haven't done any college work. Don't tell Mum. Don't tell me, more like. I've been scribbling away at things to talk about in my notebook because I thought this is good. Even if I don't use them that much, just like a little glance, it's good because seriously, when I'm filming, it's amazing how blank my mind can go of just simple things like basic words, basic vocabulary. It decreases by about 50%. It's awful. This is when I'm walking with Ben and making videos, and I end up feeling like such a div because the words that I want to say just vanish on me, and that isn't an accident. That is actually no talk programming kicking off within. So actually, why don't we start by talking about something like that, programming. I was going to talk spiritual abuse, but I suppose we can talk, I mean, the two are so linked together. Let's talk about, I've not got any notes written about this, so even though I like to sit here with paper on pad and pen, oops, because it makes me feel like, I don't know, it makes me feel important. Oh God, I'm kidding. Oh God, I feel really sick. Yeah, so what I was going to say was, I think what I'm going to talk about is what's been going on, excuse me, when people do interviews and then they freak out at some point further down the line. Now, I knew when I did my basis interview, and I'm not just talking about basis interviewees, I'm talking about anyone in general who talks out about this stuff. It's something which I definitely would say to people. You do want to really think about your actions before you do speak out, and your state of mind, because by speaking out you are making yourself a target. I mean, I know this sounds so obvious, it's just that I don't know if people always realise in what way they're going to be targeted. Because you see, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I went I was as vocal as anyone could possibly be. And unfortunately, we're talking about the late 90s, when people were not running around talking about this kind of stuff. You know, this was like signing a death certificate, actually, except they don't want to kill you because you're an asset. So, of course, they don't want to kill you. But they do want to make you think that they would like to kill you. And I remember I used to jokingly say that Satan himself, well, I think he's called Satan, I used to say the devil himself had personally come to make sure that, basically, I said the devil himself had come after us to, I probably didn't put this quite as politely at the time, but I will put it politely now. So basically, to screw with us, to totally mess up everything that they could mess up. And now, when I say that, I do literally mean that in its pure form, but I also mean people. He works through people as well. So, for example, you could have a friend who would call around, and a part of her could be worked through by this, you know, by these entities and stuff. I don't really know how to explain it very well, but a bit like you can have really great experiences where angelic experiences where a Christ-like experience happens. Say, for example, some homeless guy gives you some really profound words which you need to hear, which makes everything make sense in your head and makes everything better. Or just randomly rescues you from, like, say, for example, some muggers trying to mug you. These are like angelic experiences which can be like Christ working through. So the same can happen except with the demonic. So going back to what was I going to say? Oh yeah, back to late teens, early 20s, and people. Yeah, okay. So basically, when people speak out, you are making yourself a target. If you are doing healing work and stuff, by speaking out, you're making it hard to do your healing work. Now, I ran around like a nut job, shouting from the rooftops. Not like a nut job at all, because what I was shouting from the rooftops was the truth. But in the world, that comes across like you're nuts. And I don't really want to go into everything that happened back then, because it wasn't just involving me. You know, and I certainly don't want to be talking about people who don't want their stuff speaking about on YouTube, basically. But let's just say I learnt a lot back then. And so, going back to when I did the Basis interviews last year, I was well aware of the fact that speaking out would definitely trigger, like I call it self sabotage programming. It's a combination of no speak and self sabotage. So basically, what happens is you do your speaking out, and that can go fine, presuming you manage to get your words out as you'd like to. Which I felt like, although I found the Basis interviews incredibly difficult, because a certain somebody interrupts a lot, and you know who you are. You interrupted me so much. It was so hard. But then I did the interview, with the radio interview afterwards, and I felt like I'd managed to say like what I wanted to say to clear certain. Well, I just felt like I managed to say things in a light which showed me as I really am, rather than like as some complete airhead, which is how I thought I came across in the Basis interviews. I don't know why I sound like my voice is breaking, don't I? Yeah, that's right. No, I wasn't. No, shut up, Nina. I won't even make that joke. So anyway, right, you do the base. So yeah, I did the base interviews, and then I laid low. I did do the interviews, the radio interviews, but I just want to give you an example of how much time had passed. I did the basis interviews. I think the actual interview recording was either end of June or start of July. And then they came out, and then I didn't do the radio show until September, and it wasn't, I think, around my birthday time. If I remember rightly, it was around the 18th or 19th of September, I think, when I did the radio show. Oh my God. Anyhow, and the reason why I left it so long was because I was still in self-sabotage mode. If I'd have done the radio interview just after the basis interviews, I would have totally, not backtracked, but I would have, basically, I would have like, everything that I'd spoken about, I'd have like tried to brush off or change, and it's not like I would have done it on purpose. It's the programming within you to not speak like that, especially when, for me, it's really easy to talk about loads of stuff that's going on, but if I start to bring like family into it and stuff, that's when I get triggered to not be going there, because of course it's incredibly difficult. You know, I love my family so much, and yeah, of course you don't want to be speaking about like any family members like that at all. So the reason why I'm talking about all this is not just random reasons. I'm just thinking about a lot of people who have done the interviews and then it all goes haywire, and people end up in warfare, literally, or wanting their work taken down. Now, I personally think, annoying as it must be, if you've gone to the time and effort to make someone's interview, and then a few months down the line they want it taken down, I know it must be really like frustrating, but I think you should just do it, because you know, at the end of the day, it's just not worth. If it gives them peace of mind, then you do it. You know, you just take it down. I think by not wanting to take it down, it makes it into more of like a battle, and then the other person will be even more determined to want it to be down. Personally, I feel like it's kind of pointless because it's already out there anyway. But that said, there's a big difference, I suppose, between like some small time, like nobody having maybe like downloaded it and re-released it, and some like huge channel having it out there but a lot of people watch. You know, I do get why people want the work taken down. There's been times, well, if I was just going off my instinct alone, I would have wanted my work, my interviews taken down, because for me, they're like so cringeworthy. I just had to stay really focused on the big picture, and that was the reasons why I'd done them. And thankfully for me, that worked. But no, my point I'm trying to make, maybe the long-winded way, is I'm just trying to really reach out to people who get frustrated with people who do interviews. Nobody's like saying that they're deprogrammed. Everyone's actually being very open about the fact that they are programmed, and that means that they get triggered and can basically self-sabotage everything. Like, I don't want to start mentioning people's names, because I'm not even talking about anyone other than when I mention myself. I'm not talking about anyone in particular. I'm just talking generally. So yeah. Anyway, I think that'll do with that. And whilst we're talking about this, we may as well talk about I can say it. Dissociative identity disorder. And I'll tell you what else I wanted to speak about. I really do want to cover psychic readings and stuff like that, because which one shall we speak about? Well, I really wanted to do a bit about DID, because frustratingly in the other video that I did, I had this great example of what like DID is like, except when it froze me on the frame, that all got missed out. So sorry, I was just looking to see if my cat was there, but she's not. Ben, what are you doing? No, he doesn't want to be on. So yeah, that's why I want to talk about DID. I want to get that example going. I did do some notes actually on DID. So let's have a look. Which should we talk about? Psychicness or DID? I suppose. Yeah, actually, we will just cover the psychic thing, because I can do that really quick, and DID is a bit longer to talk about. So basically, I just want people to be really aware of the fact that there's loads of people out there who want to help by giving you psychic readings. Now, I really advise you not to go down that route, because the way I see it is that everything that you need to know, you can find out for yourself. There's nobody on this planet who has any magical abilities that you can't have too. So if you want to know something, you ask God yourself. I am speaking from experience. I no disrespect to the person who tried to help me, but I made the mistake of asking someone to do a reading on me, and it traumatized me beyond words. And that was a direct result of, I mean, she gave me some truth. I know that from the effect it had within. But I found out stuff that I wasn't ready for, and it traumatized me massively. I was already traumatized because it was a really difficult time. This is late 2012 I'm talking about. And I'd actually just moved in this house that autumn, and things were really difficult in my life, in every possible element. There actually wasn't anything good at the time going on. It was all really difficult. I was going to work, coming home, getting into bed, and that was it, basically. Going to work, coming home, getting to bed. And the only reason why I made it to work, God, I feel so sick. The only reason why I made it to work was because, I had to go to work, you know. I couldn't not go to work. If I could have done, if I had employers that understood, like, depression and stuff like that, then I wouldn't have been going to work. I probably would have been just lying in bed like a beached whale. It was a horrible time, and I'm not saying that it was just the reading that caused that, because it wasn't that alone. It was a combination of the readings alongside life at the time too. It was all too much. Now, it's kind of crazy because for me to even have let someone do that for me, because I have a really good relationship with God. and with Christ, and if I need to know something, I don't need to be asking other people. That's crazy, which goes to show where my mind was at the time, because, you know, I'd let someone do that, and the trauma from it, oh my God, it was horrifying, a horrifying time, truly horrifying time. And that is why I really, really plead to people, if you want to know something about your life, you know it. It's already here in you. It's already here. Ask God, and He'll give you what you need to know. And I know it can be frustratingly slow. Healing, it can be so frustratingly slow, but that's because otherwise we get overwhelmed. If we find everything that we need to know all at once, well, actually, there is a term for that. It's called flooding. Well, with programming, there's actually two different extremes which can happen. When I did the basis interviews, I got triggered to absolute silence within my head. In fact, I felt like I was being mind wiped. It was a horrible. This is after I'd done the interviews. But the other extreme of that is when you get flooded, which is where you're getting so many memories coming back. It's like completely traumatizing and overwhelming. So when I had that reading done, that gave me like the side effect as if I had been flooded myself. Yeah, it was horrible. I plead with people, don't go there, you know. Ask God, He'll give you what you need to know at the rate you're ready to deal with it. It's so important. I would, you know, I can't, honestly, I can't stress it enough, can't plead enough. I really can't. If you want messing up, then yeah, go for it, you know. But seriously, it's really not a wise thing to do. And anyway, okay, I'll stop going on about that now. The other thing that I actually wanted to mention was reincarnation, because that comes up quite a lot actually. And I can relate, because my whole life I thought that I had always been here, and I thought that must mean via reincarnation. I don't think that still. I think that, yeah, our spirits have always been here. And for that reason, combined with maybe many other reasons, like if you're programmed, then it's more than likely that you've got alters that believe that they were here before, that have been programmed to think that. Say, for example, you could have an alter that believes that they were an Egyptian, like, person or whatever. I always thought that I'd been here since time began. And I always thought that that was because of reincarnation and being reincarnated into different physical bodies and stuff. Yeah, I haven't thought this for quite a long time now, because I've realised that life, it doesn't really work like that. Of course, they want us to think it works like that because it you know, it suits what they want us to be as far away from the truth as possible. Sometimes I think, why are you bothering to do this, Nina? Because if someone had like tried to tell me this stuff when I was younger, I'd have just been like, yeah, you know, whatever, I know best kind of thing. I've come to my realizations through, basically, not through anything online. I cannot express that enough. The only thing that I've learnt online, which I didn't otherwise know, is like properly how mind control works, from the yeah, that's the only thing that I've like learned online, which I hadn't already found out just from talking with my friend, and we're having a close relationship with God, and you know, that's it. So the answers, as a general rule, yeah, I know this sounds like kind of crazy because I'm here making this video to try and help people looking for answers, but there's not many people who are actually giving you real truth. There's the odd, you know, there's the occasional people that are giving you the real pure truth, but few and far between, really are. Most things are a mixture of info mixed with disinfo, which is just there to keep you confused and to keep you off point and all the rest of it. The only real way to real truth is from going within, and certainly not trawling the web. So on that note, yeah, I make these videos because I know people do trawl the web looking for answers, and so that's why I speak my truth. And not only that, I feel to myself, like, if just one person hears me and it clicks in their mind, then it's worth it. So, you know, we all need like guidance along the way, and I was really lucky because I've been really lucky. I don't really have many friends, but the ones which I have had, you know, yeah, I've been lucky. So not everyone's so lucky, so there's, yeah, that's why I do these videos. So anyway, back to reincarnation. Yeah, I think that, have I said it all? Kind of have, haven't I? So let's go on to talking about DID, because I'm dying to do this. Right, let's find it. So there's a function which I'm going to get on in a minute, and I think it's a great way to like help explain. My computer's frozen. Hang on a minute. Yeah, so annoying. Oh, it's gone haywire. Let's see. Is it going to let me do it? Is it that one? So basically, right, yeah, I think that's the one that we want. Now it's working again. No, I don't think it is. So we'll just have a look here. No, go back here. Stupid computer, it doesn't want to do it, does it? Just wants to mess with us. That's what it is. It just wants to mess with us. And now it's frozen again. So I'll just talk, and if we manage to get the function we want, then we'll get it on. It's really hard. It's really distracting to try and... It stopped. Oh my god, it started working again. Wow. So my computer program has decided that that was crazy. Okay. Let's see if I can find it before it does something crazy again. I can hopefully chop out this section where it's being all silly, because YouTube does let you edit bits out, so we'll try and do that. It's not there after all that anyway. Yay, I found it! So I think this is a great way to describe DID. Ben's just jumped up. Ben, come here, little one. Come and say hi. Look who it is. Oh, he's all caught in my scarf. Sorry, Ben. Hello. He says, can we go to bed now, Mum? It's far too late. He's right, it's 1:45. Oh, love you. Love you. Alright, you can go back to bed. There you go. Oh, okay. What a sweetie pie. Good boy. So, when you have DID, it's basically a splitting of your mind between amnesic walls. So that when something happens, obviously usually something bad, this is how they split the mind with trauma. And I just think it's great. I'm going to put it on now. So, there. Yay, it's still working. So if you've got DID, it's like having loads of yous floating around, all oblivious to one another. And no, not all oblivious to one another, sorry. It's just that your front persona that's in charge doesn't necessarily have access to any of the other yous, because when your system's working as it's been intended to, I'm not going to keep this on very long, it makes you feel a bit weird, and it's very difficult to talk. If they just went around about covering my face, then I could deal with it. Well, it's a good example, isn't it, you know? So, yeah, the whole point of these alter personas is, say, for example, you got raped by your dad. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that would be pretty traumatic, wouldn't it? So, you will have an alter that contains the, like, blueprint for that experience. And say, for example, do you know what? I'm going to read my notes, actually, because I want to talk about this properly, and it's not possible to do if I'm, like, being all over the place. So maybe we'll get rid of all these little Ninas bubbling about, and we'll talk straightforwardly. Or should we leave them on for a little bit longer? Maybe we'll leave them on for a little bit longer, because I'm going to read anyhow. That's about astral projection. I don't want to read about that now, because I've been a busy girl here with my notebook. So then, where's number 1? It's hiding from me. I think it must be over the page. Here we go. Protectors. I just had the thought that maybe I should make this into a separate video so that it's not too overwhelming and people aren't being, like, bombarded with information. Or maybe I should carry on. What do I do? Alright, I'll carry on, and if people wanted to, if it's too much, then I would suggest, like, switching off and coming back, like, for this section. So maybe have a break or something, because it's too much information. I don't want to overwhelm people, but I am going to keep going, and the reason why is because I've got a funny feeling that if I switch this off, I won't end up recording the second part now, and I want to keep going whilst I'm on flow, because trust me, you don't always feel like making these videos. I'm going to switch these many me's off, I think. Okay. That is so bizarre, honest to God. Alright then, so I'm going to talk about the system, and your system is what lies within. So I mean, I'm assuming that anyone watching, well, most people watching will know quite a lot about mind control and how it works. If you don't, then you might not fully understand what I'm going to talk about, and maybe need to do a bit of research, reading for yourself. There's loads of great books out there, you know. Alright then. So, you will have a protectors. And these parts are created to do the jobs that, well, everyone's systems vary, I should say, first off. But this is just an example of a potential system. So you'd have protectors. These are parts created to do the jobs that had to be done. For example, if you had to save someone's life, so cult protectors will look and mirror perpetrators, so it can seem mean and scary. Do you know what? This might not work, so I can't read my own notes. Basically, right, your protector parts are there to protect you from stuff you can't handle. And in adult life, these parts that as a child protected you could end up becoming perpetrators. So there is a risk of that. Of course, you're not aware of any of these parts. You're amnesic to them. That's the whole point of mind control. You're amnesic to it. You have no idea. This is nothing like what your normal personality would be like. These are created because of horrible experiences which no one in the right mind would be able to deal with. And so obviously your mind splits. Let's just do the function again. There. So there you go. All those little people floating around. And within the system, you can have elements which will be rotating. I kind of describe it, now everybody to a degree has this, because when you think about it, when you go to work, you are a different version of yourself to the self who is at home with the kids. Or if you are out enjoying yourself, again, a totally different version of yourself to the self who is at work, or the self who is at home with the kids. So you get the drift. The difference is that you're not amnesic to these parts. You're in touch with all these parts. That's the difference. Even though these parts are extremely different, in a healthy, normal human being, you've got full recall, and yeah, basically. And obviously, if you've got DID or multiple personality disorder, whatever you want to call it, then you don't have full recall. You have blanks, and these little bubbles are annoying me again, so I'm going to switch them off. My first ever blank that I'm really aware of, putting the notes down, I can't do it. It's like I'm not in the mood for trying to read notes, which I can't even read my handwriting on. My first ever experience, which I'm aware of, was when I was, well, first off, I don't have much recall from until I started school, and I always thought that was normal because yeah, that's what was normal. You do, don't you? You don't think anything's abnormal if it's your life, because that's normal to you. But it's only very recently that I realised that actually that's not so normal. Most people have memories. I have a couple of memories, but I don't really have any much recall. Hardly no recall until I start school. But of actual switching, my first memory of switching, this is kind of embarrassing, but anyway, I was at a club, I was 16, and I was chatting to this this black woman in the toilets, and first off, I should just say that cults, or whatever you want to call them, they're big on same-sex relationships. They will try and program gay alters within you. And when programming gets confused, you can get to a point where you don't even know anymore what's programming and what isn't programming. But anyway, I'm 16 years old. I'm really, really young, even though I used to go out clubbing and stuff. Come on, I was 16, I was really young. And I was chatting to this woman like all night long. It was like really surreal. And I remember going in like, and then nothing there. And then I come back to, so my last memory of me as me would be like with our faces like this close, and then nothing until, well, obviously we were kissing, but I don't remember any of that. I wasn't kissing her. And then I come back to me as I pulled away, or whenever we'd stop kissing or whatever. To this day, I can't remember like what actually happened. I only know that obviously you can deduct what happened. And I was 16 years old. I couldn't deal with it, you know. I'd never like contemplated before the idea of being gay or kissing another woman. It never crossed my mind. Why would it have? You know, it never crossed my mind before. And to be perfectly honest, I never really thought about it again because I didn't remember it happening. I knew something weird had happened that night, but I didn't go home and like ponder over it. I just didn't think about it again for years. And in all honesty, I kind of know why that experience happened. And that is when I've been in like my moments of the highest denial, where all I've wanted to do was think that none of this stuff could be true. It's little snippets of memories like that, for example. Not only that, but that's one where I know that I'd switched personas and switch had taken place. So there's so many times when you just don't want any of this to be true, and you really want to believe your denial, which again you have within the system. You have alters which are programmed to want to believe that none of this is true, and in actual fact you are crazy for thinking this could be true. You'd rather think that and just be crazy than to actually be right, because what's preferable, to be a bit crazy but wrong, or to be not crazy but right? I mean, who wants to be right about any of this stuff? Certainly not me. No. It's too huge. And it's too incriminating to your whole family. Oh yeah, so I'm not going to talk for much longer. I'm starting to lose my voice, and it sounds like it's breaking, and I want to cough. What I was going to say was, there's a lot of people out there who say they're programmed, but that their family members aren't. And there seems to be this misconception going around that one person can be programmed, but yet the brothers, sisters, mother, father, oh no, they all magically like avoided it. I'm sorry, but there might be instances where, say for example, I don't know, like say if you got like sold into a program, does that actually definitely happen, or is that misinformation? I'm going to talk about like bloodline families. If you are bloodline, then your whole family's programmed. There is no way that only you got programmed and no one else did. Like, it just doesn't happen. And you can be programmed and a handler, you know, you can be both. There's like obviously different levels throughout and different jobs. So, I mean, it's huge, it's so huge. This is like part of the reason why all I've wanted to do for the last couple of days is carry on talking about spiritual abuse and stuff, which all this falls into the label of, as far as I'm concerned, because it is all spiritual abuse as well. But it's like, well, where do I start talking? Well, what do I start talking about? And then it can be easier to just not talk than it is to figure out where to start talking, because it's huge, isn't it? It's a huge topic. Yeah. So I think we might have covered pretty much everything for this now, because short of going through the whole DID thing, which really I do think it needs to be a segment to itself, because it is huge. And I'm sure there's like loads of places people can find out about stuff like that. I mean, there's plenty of books written about it. Talked about psychic readings, talked about reincarnation. I was just thinking, should I touch on being born into religious families? It's interesting though, because I was born into a family that embraced evolution and Darwinism and totally denied any kind of spiritual anything. Totally denied it existed. So I've spent my whole life literally searching for God. That's what it started off being. Searching for Christ, searching for God, searching for spiritual and supernatural, because I haven't always been like as in touch with the real truths which are there to learn. Obviously you evolve as you grow, you know, that is obviously true, and presuming that you keep growing and learning, you know, you get closer to the truth and you learn more and you find out where you were off, and you find out like, oh, something is a draft from the window. Oh, it just blew on me there, I'm all cold. Yeah, you find out, like, as you get older, you find out more, don't you? But as a kid, yeah, I was like obviously searching for my cat. Yeah, I was searching forever for, like I said, for God and for spiritual proof and everything. And it's really sad because, well, I always like really wished and hoped that I'd be able to, well, I wished that I'd come from a family who were religious, because I thought, oh, you know, that would be so lovely. But I don't think that anymore. I think actually I was really lucky to come from a family who had nothing, because it meant that I got to go out and find it all for myself without ever being scared by God, without ever having the Bible opened up and used to threaten or scare me. I've never had Jesus' name used as a fear, like a trigger of fear. This is the problem. Religions abuse people. And what can be worse than to be brought up to be a Christian or a Catholic or a Jehovah's Witness or anything like this, and to be scared by God and by Christ, and then you can't like run to the truth because you've been so hurt and damaged and abused by it. It's easier to think, no, not going there, you know. And people that do are crazy or dangerous, or there's loads of stuff. I get that, you know, I really do. I understand. One of my best friends was brought up a Jehovah's Witness, and obviously she, although she'll like hold her hand up and say there's stuff out there, she can't go there. She got so badly abused by it. She can't go there. She can't open her heart, or she can, but it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult for somebody when they have been so badly abused by Jesus. I just beg that people could recognize that they have been lied to, and this isn't God or Jesus is doing. This is the way that the truth is corrupted and then twisted and then used against you. And it's not even as though your family is necessarily doing it on purpose, because they're brainwashed into thinking the way that they're thinking. They don't necessarily realise that what they're doing is wrong. They think that most families are passing down what they were taught. So I'm not saying everyone's innocent, because some people do stuff and they know what they're doing, but other people are just repeating what they've been taught. They don't really realise that what they're doing is wrong, because in their minds it's right. The end result is the same. If you've been spiritually abused, you've been brought up to be afraid of Jesus and to think that it's all highly, you know, the end result is horrifying, because it has you as far away from any kind of real truth that will save you from attacks, will save you from witchcraft, will protect you from astral happenings. It protects you from all of this stuff. And if you're thinking clearly and thinking along the right lines, then you're also not going to attract as much stuff. It's, you know, it's so difficult to even like explain sometimes. But anyway, gonna wrap this up now, because definitely done more than enough talking for one night. And even though it's like only an hour, it feels like I've been talking forever for some reason. Maybe because I made some videos early with little legs. Maybe because we've covered a lot. And I'm not used to sitting here and talking. I'm used to walking around with Ben and seeing like amazing things and going, oh wow, look at that. And that's kind of what I do. This whole sitting here thing and talking like this is all new to me, and it's really weird, you know. Especially because I can see myself, and that's like quite scary in itself, because in all seriousness, I'd much rather not be able to see myself. Anyway, if you've made it through this, I really hope that it's been of some help. I'm not even sure if it will have been or not, but I guess I'll upload it and then we'll see. So, okay then. If it'll upload, that should be a good indicator, shouldn't it? If it won't upload, then we know it's because it makes too much sense, like the other one. I wanted to talk about, I forgot, yeah, just thinking, shall I add it on or not? No, we've talked about enough here. I'll make a note of what I forgot to mention, and we'll do that next time. Because let's face it, I can sit here and talk about different elements of spiritual abuse forever. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Alright then. You take care, and thank you for watching. And yeah, if you feel inspired to, then please do comment. Alright. Does little Ben want to say bye? Oh, little Ben says, let's go to bed now, Nina. Shall we, oh, the light doesn't want... Little Ben. Let's see if we can... It's not happening. I kind of want to move it because it's too comfy there. There he is. Yeah, it's too comfy. So, alright then, I'm going to switch this off. Bye bye. How do I switch it off? Oh, here it is. Take care. And don't forget, if you're being attacked, all you need to do is ask for help. Just ask for help. Just ask Jesus, ask Christ for help. Just try. It's worth it. Please, I beg. Even if all you're doing is doing it because you want to humour me, it'll work. And then you can do it for you. And please. Alright then. Take care, everybody. Bye bye. It's okay. It's okay. You're being all camera shy, aren't you, today? Oh. Bye bye.